and she's going to tell you a bit about some of the projects she's been working on recently.
Okay, hello. Is this too loud? I feel like it's a bit weird talking through a microphone. Can you hear me at the back? No, I sound like an idiot. Sorry, I don't normally do public speaking, but so I'm a little bit nervous.
No.
Anyway, hi. It's really good to be here. As Jasmine said, I'm a producer predominantly working in film and television. I'm currently working at a production company called Biconical Arts, which we represent directors for commercials, music videos, short films, editorials. I don't know, you've probably heard of them, like Roman Gavras, who does a lot of MIA and Justice videos, Harmony Korine. We also rep Gus Van Sant, and then through another company that we work with in LA, people like Martin Scorsese and Terrence Malick, although you have to pay them a lot to do a commercial. I thought I would start a bit with my background of how I got into it. I studied film and TV at Bournemouth University, and it was a really practical course, and so you kind of chose your specialisms. I chose production management, and it was designed really a lot for kind of mainstream television. So, you know, the aim was to then go into the BBC or ITV. So when I finished, I started running a documentary company, doing natural history documentaries, a bit like for National Geographic and the Discovery Channel. But that worked there for a couple of years, wasn't particularly where I thought my passions were. So I then chose to try out drama, and I worked for a couple of years on, I'm sure you must have watched it in some downtime, Midsummer Murders and Poirot and lots of kind of old school detective dramas. But personally, for me, working on them was as boring as watching them. So I timed to change, and I kind of, the next sort of 7 years, tried out loads of different things. I worked at a feature film company. I worked in entertainment on a couple of food programmes. I then decided to give it up for a bit and worked at the Arts Council in their theatre department. And then someone told me about advertising agencies and said that they have in-house producers. So I decided to try that out and went in-house in an advertising agency, one called Ogilvy and another one called Wyden and Kennedy, and produced commercials for them for a few years. Again, after a couple of years, I realised that wasn't really what I wanted to do, didn't feel that passionate about it. So I decided to go back into a production company, which leads me to where I am now at Iconoclast. It's much more exciting. You kind of get more in the nitty-gritty. You speak to the directors all the time. You get different scripts in for, you know, music videos or commercials, and you really work with them to make their vision come to life. Thought I'd stop talking for a bit and wrong way. Talk about some films that I've produced. So one of them, which was last year, was for a London band called Duologue with a directors collective called Marshmallow Laser Feast. They do a lot of installations working with lasers, quite cool stuff that I don't fully understand, like quadcopters and drones and everything. So we decided they wanted to do a music video that was all in, basically all in CG. So what we did is get together we cast an old, I say that old lady, that sounds un-PC. She was a very eccentric 85-year-old woman as our main hero, and they wanted to kind of do a study on mortality, basically. So this is Beryl, our 85-year-old lovely lady. What we did was get her in to a studio. We kind of, I'll go to the end one. Here's the director, Barney. We used a company called FBFX in Pinewood Studios, where you rig up 94 stills cameras in a 360 environment. We then took stills of her. She had to have a hairnet over her hair and be basically completely as naked as possible. So we took her still, and then what we did, I was going to read it off, we basically created a 16K photorealistic full body scan of Beryl, capturing her in 360 degrees in a 3D scan, which was 1/13,000th of a second. We then combined that with a spherical panoramic HD photo, which was like a time lapse of some light through the bathroom toilet of the post-production house. Combine that to basically create all of the movement in CG, and what the post-production house did, which was really amazing, was recreate all of the texture of her skin, and it was supposed to be of her hair as well, but during the time, because obviously we weren't paying them any money, it was a music video, I'd probably got about over £70,000 worth of work done for, I think, £2,000. So we didn't have any time. They had a big Apple job that had come in at the same time, and Apple have a contract that say you can't work on anything else, so they were doing this all. The poor guy, I think, was working on this Apple pitch all day and then working on this all night, so I don't think he slept for about 2 weeks. But, you know, overall, I think the director was happy with it. So these are kind of the different textures that they put on in post-production. And it went on last year to win a D&AD award for the best use of post-production, which is good. And then I will play it for you. Oh, it was premiered on, I don't know if you guys know Nowness, but it's like an online platform that show cool videos. So that was, let's see if that works. think looking back on it now, what was kind of one of the limitations as well is that the director, obviously with the kind of time scale, he wanted to have a lot more narrative in there, but we kind of were really limited to then what we could use of her, and so ended up also taking pictures of like a pomegranate and a rose and trying to affect those. So it doesn't I guess necessarily have a huge amount of narrative, but good use of post-production. I've gone the wrong way. The next film, which I've done most recently also for that was on Nowness, was a film, I guess, as a kind of in juxtaposition to the last one, where it was all done in CGI. This next film is more kind of documentary based, working with one of our directors called Bronwyn Parker Rose, and she likes working with real people. So she found this was a dancer, and she dances in a strip club in East London, and she had a kind of close relationship with her. And the voiceover on the film is basically a real letter from one of her customers who goes to see her regularly, and so the voiceover is kind of his letter to her and him kind of ruminating on objection. I'm playing. Oh, wrong way. Is that too long? Should I play the whole thing? I wonder if I play the whole thing. Okay.
This is what he wrote to me. Every now and then I get a flashback to the first time I saw you at Charlie's bar. You're looking sideways, and I can't tell if you're going to throttle me or just wait for an accomplice to stab me in the kidneys. I'd take either, as long as you were paying me attention. Sorry about staring at you. I was ashamed of myself the whole time I was doing it. Well, the first 3 hours at least. My mind kept telling me, if you turn away, you'll be looking at something that isn't this girl's tits. And I couldn't think of a single reason why I would want to do that. I think we've evolved to treasure female beauty because it's so potent and also so transient. Cultures all over the world have this metaphor of flowering or blooming. Men's physical capacity for action has the same characteristics. It's compelling and it runs out. Male strength and female beauty in their prime are existential, I'd say, if I were pretentious, which I am. You remind me of that famous painting from the French Revolution. The woman, Marianne, leading the mob to righteous slaughter. Delacroix, I think. It wasn't just the public sexuality. There's something about the way you hold your head, the inquisitive but knowing gleam in your eyes. You scared the shit out of me. I'm writing to you because you're pretty and it's good for my ego. Because you're clever and funny. Because woman's beauty is a precious thing that as a man you feel absorbed in and to some extent entitled to when you're in your 20s and 30s. Then, in middle age, it ebbs away from you. Some men cope with it by using emotional maturity or some other magic. I don't know where they get it from. I'm one of those men who really, really misses it.
Bit raunchy, sorry. Yeah, so I think that just shows a kind of breadth or a kind of difference in the work that I do. I keep going the wrong way. Hang on. Where's the next slide? Okay. So yeah, I thought I would then go on to sort of talk about what it is, what being a producer means. As I said, I'm full-time at Iconoclast at the moment, and then kind of produce other stuff outside of that as well. I know that not all of you are studying film, but I think producing really is something that's kind of universal to a lot of different disciplines. So be sort of fashion, illustration, graphic design, architecture, photography. You all kind of need, or most of the time, there is a producer type person on board. It doesn't have to be, maybe they're not called producer or they're called project manager, but someone who's kind of helping bring the whole project together and kind of oversee everything and make sure it runs smoothly, I guess, as much as possible. Overall skills that you kind of need when producing, or would be handy to have, you need to be organised, because you are kind of in control of the whole project most of the time. Have really good, excellent communication skills. Be really good with people, especially when you're working on lower budget jobs. You have to ask for a lot of favours, so it's good to be nice and butter them up. Be good at negotiating, as I said. Sometimes it can be quite stressful on whatever project you're working on, or on a shoot. So you kind of have to be adaptable to troubleshoot problems, and kind of negotiate different situations, staying calm. Being self-motivated is a bonus. Having a good understanding of budgets and finance, because I guess once you start producing, you're either trying to get funding or you're being in control of the budget, and you have to kind of think wisely about the different areas that you're going to spend your money in. Scheduling, understanding the different times, or times per project. I guess if you're working on an animation project, then there's loads of time at the back end, or you need loads of time at the back end. And then if you're working on more of a kind of a drama piece that involves lots of cast, then that's where you'd kind of put more of your time to get the really key cast and to have enough time to get the right people on. And then I think more boring parts of it would be, even if you're working on a really small budget job, or no money job, you kind of have to still be aware of legal requirements or health and safety. So, copyright issues, or, getting insurance if you're getting out kit, or if you're paying crew. If something happens on set, hopefully it won't, but you'll be the one, as the kind of the sort of main organiser in control of the project, you'll be the one that gets put on their head. So you need to understand that. I don't know if this is useful, but thinking about kind of breaking down a job in terms of 4 different phases, then you've got the research and development stage, which in a sort of TV or film aspect is where you kind of meet with the artist or meet with the director, talk a workshop around the initial idea or the script. So you can kind of you then get an overall arch of how you can go about it, how much, if you need money, how much money you need, or how much time do you need, and get kind of that fully in your head. And then pre-production is figuring it out, getting the best team on board, which I think what I like the most about my job is no job is ever the same. You always learn something completely different. Even the really sort of experienced producers that I know say that they learn something, or they've got a new challenge on every single job that they do. So it's good, or interesting for me to be able to, you have to really think about pulling the right team together in terms of the crew, for the job, who's going to work best, if it's a really kind of sensitive subject, or, if one photographer or director of photography, for instance, I think more commercially you work on show reels. So if they've got, huge big car commercials on their reel, then you kind of, that they can shoot cars really well. So, so it's key to getting the right people and creating the right environment on the set. And then you've got your shoot, which I think everyone knows, which is the fun bit. And then post-production, I'm getting it finished, organising all the right people for that, understanding the timings, and then in the final stage, I guess, sort of distributing it, try and find people who want to show it, be it kind of short film festivals or online platforms, which there are loads that you can go to now and submit your work, or more on kind of like an art film basis than if you're going towards kind of an installation or an exhibition. Then I think I was going to, I don't know if I'm going to show you the whole thing, but I've been working with an artist, Mariana Simnet, at the moment, or for the past year, and I've produced the last 3 projects that she's done. One of the first one in the summer was a film called Blue Roses, which was a commission by Comar in the Isle of Mull. And it was half shot, she likes working with real people, so it's half shot in London with a real sort of specialist, a varicose vein specialist in a clinic in London. And then part of it is surreal, but features Mariana. And then the other part was shot in Texas in a lab where they are creating robotic cockroaches, basically, like biobotic backpacks that control the cockroaches to go into, hopefully to go into disaster zones to search out life where, humans can't enter. So I was going to show you the whole film, but I don't, should I do that? Do you want to do that? It's 12 minutes. Okay.
Yes. Oh, you should warn about
So-
fainting.
Oh, yeah, so we then did, which I'll go on to, we then did a commission by the Serpentine Gallery for one of their park nights in August. And we played this film alongside sort of a kind of other clips from her whole body of work. And 3 people fainted. So I think it was because it was hot, but it's a bit squeamish at times. So sorry about that. But yeah, I'll talk a bit about it afterwards. That's a cockroach with the backpack. Let's see, that works.
Hi there, sorry to keep you waiting.
When can I go back to work?
No time at all, really. We'll just bandage you up. You can take a short walk and then you'll be back to work in about 20 minutes or so.
That I simply crossed my legs for too long.
Sorry I'm late. Today we're going to have a lab course on making a cyber cockroach. A cyber cockroach is a half cockroach and half machine. We put the 2 electrodes at the front ganglia of this cockroach. We've shocked one of the front legs and they lose the stability and then they will turn in the direction we want. So that's how we control them.
Does it hurt them?
No, it does not. They don't feel that at all. Their brain is very small, so they don't have that capacity to feel the small sensation like that.
This is showing that your deep vein looks completely normal, but the small vein above it, all the valves have gone and the blood is refluxing down the leg, and that's why you're getting your symptoms in your varicose veins. So we can treat that with laser and completely get rid of it.
So these roaches could save humans?
Absolutely. They can go to small places where we cannot go. For example, if there's a disaster happening from earthquake, nobody can go there, but the cockroach can. So they become our hero in that way.
Foot into a sterile bag.
Minimally invasive, they say. Over in no time.
It's lovely.
Little to no discomfort. No incision. Easy to go through. Easy to recover from.
Excellent. Now if you pop your leg down there, we're ready to start. If we just rip your veins out, they just grow back again. This way, there'll be no future problems.
The overall effects will be wonderful.
If you've been feeling a bit faint, this will make you feel a bit better now with the blood going to your head. Okay, small pinprick just coming in now. Just going to put a little bit of local anaesthetic in the air. Okay, just going to pop this up inside now. It might feel a little tight when it goes in. That's lovely, straight in there. Excellent. But we're just popping the laser fibre up now. It's going up through the vein. You'll feel it stretches a little bit. There we are. That's in place. And laser fibre then as well, please. Can you put it on to 10 watts? Thank you. How's that feeling? Is that all right?
A beam of light pointed at my tissue as I lay awake, lying there as he scolded me for having crossed my legs for too long. But telling me not to worry, he was going to fix those leaky valves and all would be okay.
We're going to keep you awake for this, okay?
He said.
It means you can tell me if you can feel anything.
It was even worse than I'd imagined. Of course, I was never going to fall for his
Nothing to worry about, it's just a little scratch.
Or say
Please stop if it hurts.
Or
Just a little steam in the tissues. Nothing to worry about.
A pop, then a crack. But none of my words made a sound. Standing makes the blood fall away from your heart. The constant battering of blood hitting the vein makes it sore and inflamed. You're getting worse, veins. A new twist leads to pooling in the tributaries. Branches leading to nowhere. Little droplets, big phobia, excessive hypochondria. Minimally invasive, he says. The regret of crossing my legs. Total incompetence of the valves. The great saphenous vein, including the top valve at the saphenofemoral junction, has completely failed. Superficial issues close to the surface versus deeper, further concerns, not paired with arteries, and therefore causing no significant change, other than the basic shunting of blood for hot and cold purposes.
A natural cockroach is very resilient. They are one of the two species has survived for millions of years, and they can survive nuclear disaster, and they can grow their parts like legs if they're broken or damaged. Can you get a good focus?
Yeah, getting there.
A simple ligation, that is, a strangulation of the vein, is no longer possible. That I simply crossed my legs for too long. Wrong. Crossing legs for too long is a myth. The key is to keep the blood still. And if I did choose to stand, which I would never, not merely due to the pressure this would put on my pumps, therefore adding to...
which by now you must have noticed, but also because it would mean joining those outside who watch the fucking weather. Or worse still, find myself enjoying the weather. If I did stand, it would only be to jog the blood, to alternate between hurt, discomfort, and inertia.
Hey, you're pushing it too hard. You're gonna hurt the roach.
Turn, no.
Yeah.
And now blue roses are growing on my legs. To think that it's all in my head. Not an imagining, for that might imply a fantasy or romance. I mean to think of it all in my head. All because I crossed my legs for too long. Blood in my head, blood in my legs, long enough to break the little valves, all the blood in my head. Feet up, lie down, don't stand. Don't stand, for the blood will fall from your heart to your legs. Tip it back to my head. Stop the blue roses growing on my legs.
You'll never see them again.
Don't stand up, the ill of upright, illness of the up.
Perfect steering, perfect steering, engineering, perfect engineering. Now far, I will decide for you. No need to think about what to do. There's no need to think about what to do. I brought you up to be better than you were originally. Better than we were originally. Just make sure you always
And they keep returning. The veins that I complain about hurting.
on turning, learning to behave.
They won't go away and they keep returning. The veins that I complain about hurting.
On turning, learning to behave.
They won't go away. Blood collects, valves collapse. Don't stand up. Blood on the top.
Blood collects, valves collapse. Don't stand up. Blood on the top.
And they keep returning. Veins that I complain about hurting. If you wish the superficial away, it will be deeper the following day. If you think it's bad now, it will be even worse. Before you try to cut it, try to love it first. I've got varicose veins, they're ready to burst. I've got varicose veins.
And if I did stand, which I would never, I'd never join those who poke their noses out to watch the weather. Because the key is to tip the blood back to my head. Tip my head to lose the blood from my legs. Because the blood pooled and collected. because I crossed my legs for too long last summer.
That's it. It was shown in a gallery, so it was on loop. So then, okay. Hopefully, it wasn't too squeamish for anyone. Oh, there you go. I don't know. There's lots of things I can say about that. I think what's most interesting, obviously, Mariana was in the film. So, I mean, what I find fascinating is that she really works with real people. So the guy that was in the film was a guy called Mark Whiteley, and he'd never been in a film before. He is a varicose vein specialist. So she had loads of sort of contact with him pre the film, and miraculously got him to be in it, which he was very willing and super excited about. And also in Texas, Hong was a scientist, and then they were her students. So they also weren't actors. So Mariana went over there and kind of sweet talked them into being in the film and singing, which they did very well. I guess a couple of what other things, producing wise, the leg that you saw exploded. What we had to do is go to again sweet talk this special effects company near Pinewood Studios called Artem, and begging them to see if they had a leg. And I love Mariana sometimes sort of like doesn't give up, and so it had to be. No, I'm trying to get it right. It had to be her left leg. So they had lots of old right legs, like old kind of models of right legs, but it had to be a left leg. And so we were talking to this guy in Artem and going, do you know what? It really has to be a left leg. I know we've got no money, and I know we've got no time. And he kind of then agreed to. She went in one day, sort of early before they started work. They do all the special effects for kind of Star Wars and all the models and everything. She went in and had her left leg cast, and so then they made a cast of her leg. And then what we had to do... Oh, actually, I think I've got some pictures. Oh, the wrong way. Oh, there you go. So that's Mark Whiteley in the clinic, and this is in Artem. So this guy who was a bit grumpy, she was much nicer, had to fill... They created this leg, and then we filled it with kind of a mixture of minced meat and kind of red food colouring, and stuffed it. And then basically put explosive in it and blew it up. But we only had one chance because we obviously didn't have many left legs. We just had one, so there was only one chance to get it. So we tried to kind of shoot it with a couple of different cameras. I think it worked. Oh, don't keep going the wrong way. Worked quite well. Yeah, that's kind of the mix. We got a makeup artist on board, a prosthetic specialist to make all the varicose veins. So she took kind of weeks designing all of the veins and the different stages with Mariana, and then for the shoot we had to kind of think about that timing wise, because it took a lot of time. They were put onto Mariana's leg, so it took a lot of time to then think about taking off one stage of the veins and then putting on another one, and got quite stressful. And obviously you always, I don't know how many shoots you've been on, but you always are behind time. You always try and do too much. Here's the little cockroaches. We spoke to someone because all the cockroaches were in Texas, so she wanted to shoot this bit in London. So we got a what do you call it? Etymologist. Is that right? Yeah. From the National History Museum. No, I don't mean that. Not etymologist. What? Bug person. He bought a couple of cockroaches to the set, which. Also, I guess the guy Mark from the clinic was really open. He was very nice about it. We kept them kind of contained. And he, through different references, made a little kind of robotic. This one doesn't work. This one in London, but he made one that looks like it for the London part. And you stick it on the back of them with Tipex. Am I going to go the wrong way again? Oh yeah. And what else? We shot the kind of interior sort of hyper, sort of fantastical part of it in Mariana's studio. And I think that's another kind of interesting thing to talk about, especially working on different kinds of projects. And like I said, getting on the right crew. There has to be a sort of sensitivity around getting on the right crew for the right project, and there was a slight, because Mariana wanted to be upside down when she was delivering her lines, because she really felt that was important to do it for real. It did mean that health and safety wise, she was kind of on the verge of fainting sometimes, and so yeah, it had to be. I think that one of the camera guys felt a little bit weird about that, so it was kind of managing all of the relationships and kind of trying to talk to everyone and placating them and realising that it was going to be okay, and she was having enough breaks. But yeah, it was fun. It was good fun. And then the next work that we did, I sort of mentioned, was a park night at the Serpentine over the summer. Mariana had already been commissioned to do one of their nights, and so I helped her put it together, which she wanted to kind of show clips from her previous films, because she won the Jerwood Film and Video Umbrella Prize. So she made 2 films the year before, so she wanted to show clips of those with Blue Roses, and because her films are quite musical, she decided to do a kind of musical rendition really of all of her films, which meant that what I did with her was kind of find the right musical director and collaborator for her to work with, kind of composing these songs, doing all the sheet music for them, and not only scoring the songs that were already in her films, but creating new songs around to kind of go around them. So I found this really great guy called Leo Chapburn, who's brilliant, and they got on and worked really well together. And then also we had to find a selection. I don't know where I've put the film. Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. That's Mariana at the front. We found professional singers and a kind of a boy. It's like a really, I think he was about 13, a soprano, that all kind of worked really well vocally. And then we had about not very long to rehearse everything. It was really tight. I think they had 3 rehearsals to get all of the songs learnt, which she did ideally want them to be off sheet, but that was asking a bit much. So this was kind of the screen that we showed the films, and then they walked around them a little bit. I've got a 3-minute clip of it, so I will play that.
Swing, 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 swing. Did you hear about Max and Lily? No, what happened? They're going out now to the disco. Seriously? Yeah, it was hilarious. Lol. I know. Shall we wake her up? What's the point? She never wants to play with us anymore. Yeah, she acts like she doesn't need us. I bet she faked it. I can't hear you. Faked it. Really? Yeah, those nosebleeds aren't real either. She brings them on herself. She's a liar and a fake. Let's play a trick on her. What? Let's turn her into a monster. Yeah? What are you, disgusting shapes? Get off! You're a traitor! Yeah, you'll pay for cutting us out. Who are you? You can't still be thirsty. Get off me! You're not going anywhere. We're gonna suck all your blood till you're wrinkly and dry, aren't we? Yeah! Who are you? Have you forgotten us already? Do I look so horrible to you? Only moments after they tore me from your side. We are your inferior turbinates. Have you forgotten? I don't need you. All you did was give me headache, splintering, nosebleeds, malingering, and tummy cramps. They're all gone now. You're gone. We are inferior to you. Don't be so hard on yourself. course you do. We belong to your interior, and you cut us out. Without us, you're just a cavity, a sack of depravity. My nose is smooth, now I removed you. I suppose I'd rather be alone. I don't want my turban at burns. Do you feel cold? Yes. And dry? I wonder why. Do you feel hoarse? Of course. You are a curse, a growing burden. And now I'm certain I would rather be alone. I don't want my turban at burns. Oh, she stinks. Have you been picking? What's going to happen? She'll keep swelling a bit longer, but eventually go back to normal. Do you?
Oh, I think that's it. Sorry, that one's a bit gruesome too, with the blood and nose. Yeah, so that was fun. It went on. It lasted for about 40 minutes, but yeah, it was a success. And then what have I done recently? The Blue Roses film that I showed you is currently showing at 17 Gallery, which is in East London on Kingston Road. And then just at the start of the year, I also helped Mariana with a kind of sound, it's a sound and light installation. So I think what I was saying before about producing not necessarily just being, you don't have to just do film, it can kind of be universal to helping on a project in all kind of different disciplines. So this was where she made herself faint, and we recorded it in a sound studio in Soho. But again, kind of the health and safety part of it, I made sure that there was a medic on set or in the studio at all times, just in case something happened, which luckily it didn't. And then what we did is kind of program the sound file into this light installation that sort of went up and down with the volume of her painting, which is really great. You should go and check it out. Do you know what I was going to go?
I think that.
Oh no, is that it?
Oh, you finished it?
No, that is it, yeah. I was just going to go on to kind of how... I think I've said it all, really. Just, yeah. Any questions? Have I run over? Sorry.
You haven't run over, I just thought now might be a good time to have
Yeah. I think I'm kind of got to the end, yeah. No questions.
What's your favourite part of your job?
Yeah, okay. I kind of, what I like about my job is that there's no days ever the same. So you're always learning something new. There's always a challenge, and I think personally working more, I don't know, kind of span across a load of different aspects. So I do commercials and fashion films, and we do photography projects. But then I work with artists and moving image as well, which I think is exciting and kind of a growing kind of medium, or where artists benefit from working with producers, basically. I think that's it.
What's the biggest budget?
What's the biggest budget? We were talking about this on the way down. Gus Van Sant, who normally does features, did a Facebook commercial with us in the summer, and that was on the other end of the scale, because I think that was £2.5 million that cost for 60 seconds. It's not even that good. I shouldn't say that. It's great. Any other questions? No?
I'm shy.
Oh yeah, go on. What's the what? Oh, that one that I showed. Yeah, it's called Memex, but it's for a band called Duolog. Yeah, oh well, great. And Marshmallow Laser Feast the collective are really, you should look them up because they do loads of really great installations. They're really at the kind of the forefront of working with virtual reality and kind of Oculus Rift, and they did something for a festival called Abandoned Normal Devices over the summer, which they recreated a big like VR environment of different animals. So going through the forest, and you were a fly, and they kind of programmed all of how a fly would see and hear, and then you kind of went into a frog, and yeah, so they're very. I don't understand most of it. You kind of get the people together who know how to do the post-production stuff, and then I don't particularly know the kind of the technical details of everything. Any more questions? No? Okay, thanks for having me.